He trained with BTS. He nearly won Show Me the Money. And for a moment, Jung Hun-cheol, better known by his stage name Iron, was the next big thing in Korean hip-hop. But behind the swagger and stage lights was a man spiraling into darkness. From viral verses to viral scandals, from studio sessions to police stations, Iron's story isn't just about talent. It's about the cost of pride, the weight of rebellion, and the unforgiving nature of fame. How does someone who stood shoulder to shoulder with the future kings of K-pop end up alone, bleeding outside an apartment complex in Seoul? This is the tragic unraveling of rapper Iron. Born on January 8, 1992 in Iksan, South Korea, Iron grew up in Gwangju, a city with a rich cultural soul and a rebellious heartbeat. Even as a teenager, music wasn't just a hobby, it was his identity. He formed his first group, Ashtray, in middle school, spitting rhymes long before it was mainstream. By high school, he had joined a gritty local crew called Ghetto Child, performing alongside underground talents on small stages, honing a style that was raw, honest, and unapologetically hip-hop. That drive, that fire, was real. It led him to join Big Hit Entertainment as a trainee under Bang Soo-hyuk. Bangtan first officially appeared in August 2010, with only Namjoon and Iron revealed as members. Namjoon had joined Big Hit in May 2010, and Iron joined shortly after. Originally, Bangtan was abbreviated as BPB, derived from their English name, Bulletproof Boys. However, Big Hit later announced that Bangtan would be an authentic hip-hop group. Soon after, the team expanded. 11, Suga, and J-Hope all joined through auditions. Supreme Boy followed, and by 2011, the group had begun to take shape. Iron was initially cast as the leader, with Namjoon as the youngest. New members like Marvel J and Kyumi also entered the scene, and would later go on to form Namhyup, DNH. DNH was formed around the time some of them were trainees at Big Hit. Either at the end of 2009 or the beginning of 2010, Suga and J-Hope did not join the crew. Although both 11 and Iron became part of DNH, they eventually left Bangtan, with rumors suggesting that Iron departed as early as May 2011. This was around the same time Bang Soo-hyuk made a pivotal decision that would permanently shift the group's direction. Bangtan would no longer be a pure hip-hop act, but would instead transition into an idol group. To Iron and the other rappers, it was a betrayal. The beats, the bars, the street ethos, they were being asked to trade it all for choreography, makeup, and polished personas. It wasn't just a rebrand, it was a rejection of everything they'd built. For Iron, who openly hated the conventions of K-pop, it was too much. In a later interview, he admitted, "I was confused about my identity as a hip-hop singer. As a member of an idol group who has to set an example, I felt like I would harm the team, so I quit being a trainee." What followed was a quiet rebellion. One by one, the rappers left. 11 quit. Keto came and went. Supreme Boy eventually became a big hit producer. In the end, only RM, Suga, and J-Hope stayed. The others felt betrayed, especially by RM. He hadn't joined their protest. He didn't walk away. And for that, they mocked him.
저랑 마블제이, 슈퍼보이 그리고 겸이랑 지금 랩몬스터. 랩몬스터는 지금 춤추고 있어요. 화장하고 있어.
Most likely it was after Iron's departure that their paths truly split for good. Still, Iron carved his own path, at least at first. In 2014, he exploded onto Show Me the Money 3, gaining public admiration for his gritty flow and unfiltered style. RM even showed support for Iron, cheering him on through BTS's official Twitter account. And although he didn't win, he reached the semifinals and stood out among a new generation of Korean rappers. 2 years later, he released his debut album, Rock Bottom. The track, Roll, was heavily criticized for its alleged depiction of a rape fantasy. Nonetheless, the album made waves in the underground scene. It was angry, articulate, and bold, a declaration of who he was and who he refused to become. But the title, as it turned out, was prophetic. In 2016, Iron's image began to collapse. He was convicted for using marijuana and received a suspended prison sentence. What angered netizens the most was that he didn't even seem apologetic about it. In an interview, he said, "First of all, as a Korean citizen, I went against the law and I am waiting to receive a sentence for my wrongdoings. However, I don't think marijuana is a drug."
일단 저는 대한민국 국민으로서 법을 어겼고 그리고 그에 따른 처벌을 지금 기다리는 중이고 당연히 책임을 져야 되는 거라고 생각을 하지만 저는 대마초는 마약이 아니라고 생각하거든요.
Iron's personality was also questioned when he revealed that he had once stabbed a friend with a knife for making fun of him. The following year, he was found guilty of assaulting his ex-girlfriend, first by punching her, then by injuring himself and claiming she was responsible. The courts didn't believe his version of events. During the trial, he revealed her identity in media interviews and publicly defamed her, calling her a masochist and denying any wrongdoing. After a 1-year prison sentence was handed down on appeal, he continued his behavior in 2020 by spreading damaging rumors about her, for which he received a fine. By this point, Iron had stepped away from social media and public appearances entirely. The backlash was overwhelming, and he became a recluse. In 2018, he was convicted on multiple assault charges. His reputation, once seen as defiant, had now become dangerous and was in free fall. Each time, he stood by his actions in a strange, almost philosophical way, claiming he was misunderstood. But he wasn't done trying. In September 2020, Iron attempted a quiet comeback. He gave an interview, a rare appearance in which he seemed to reflect on his actions and the weight of his past. For a moment, it felt like he might finally turn things around. But that window closed quickly. In December, just 3 months later, Iron was arrested again, this time for assaulting his 18-year-old roommate with a baseball bat. The boy had moved in to learn music from him. Instead, he became the latest casualty of Iron's unraveling. According to the police statement, Iron accused his roommate of lying to him, forced him to lie face down, and then struck him on the backside approximately 50 times over the course of 20 minutes. The victim sustained bruises on both thighs. Just weeks later, on January 25, 2021, Iron was found unconscious and bleeding in a flower bed outside a Seoul apartment building. Despite efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. Authorities later confirmed that there was no suspicion of murder. He was 29 when he passed away. Some fans hoped RM might quietly attend the funeral. The truth is, he couldn't. Not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't risk what it might mean. The global spotlight that comes with being RM of BTS doesn't allow for silent goodbyes to controversial figures, not even old friends. For a brief moment in time, he and RM stood in the same room with the same dreams, the same potential. Of course, walking away from Big Hit wasn't necessarily the mistake. There's nothing wrong with wanting to protect your artistic identity, but somewhere along the way, bigger mistakes were made. He wanted to be remembered for his music, and in many ways he will be, but the shadow of his choices will always linger over the sound.